Hello and welcome back to the Pride Pod. Here, ready for the end of the season. I am your host, John Rollins, with Loud and Proud Orlando. Here with my co-host, Luis Carlos Pineda. Luis, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you guys? Thank you for being live with us here today. A very um, kind of special episode for LPO. So excited.
For sure. And on today's show, we are going to quickly preview the Seattle game, which will be the last regular season game of the season this Saturday. Then we're also going to talk about what happened with the playoff media day. There were some interesting speeches there given by Haley and Seb. And then we're going to talk about international pride players, Emily Sams mainly being the one there, and Barbra Banda, who just today has been announced 12th best women in the world with the Ballon d'Or. So lots to get through here.
Yeah, sure. If you want to start with the preview of Seattle, it's gonna be a tough game. Hopefully it's a huge turn. It's gonna be a Saturday night. So I commend everyone that's watching or listening to definitely come to Interco Stadium and come support the Pride. It's going to be the last game of the regular season here at home, and sending the Pride. I believe, and I know you don't want to quote me on that, but I feel like this is going to be a turn of the page. I think this is going to be a really good game. I'm not trying to discredit Seattle, but I believe that the Pride are a better team right now overall. And I just think that they still got the momentum, and I think they're able to capitalize and possibly take the W and just go into the playoffs very motivated.
For sure. I mean, just looking at the teams, obviously on paper, we're top of the table still, winning the Shield. Reign not having a good year for them. Obviously, they're historically a very good team in this league, but with major changes going on there and, the retirement of their key players, it just kind of seems like they're going through a bit of a transition period, having a bad year. They're on 6 wins and five, like 6 wins for Seattle Reign that's probably, this could be the way I haven't looked, but this could potentially be their worst year ever in NWSL. I would say it's probably close, right, Luis? So down there in 12th place with only 23 points, this is a team that we should be able to beat at home. We should be able to beat everybody, of course, but like Luis said, I think a good opportunity for us to reset, get back to what we know we should be doing. And I think that's what we kind of heard from Seb and Haley, right, in the press conferences, Luis.
Yeah, for sure. This is going to be a celebration. I feel like this is going to be a game that they're going to play it as if it was a playoff game. You know, and I think the Pride are going to come out. They're going to come out swinging. I have no doubt. Now, with the crowd right there, rallying up behind them, and after this historic season that they've had, that it's probably, it's a lot of people could try replicate it, but it's like Marta said, it's going to be very tough for people to go undefeated that long, right? So, um, it's just like Haley said, on the press conference is it's historic, and you gotta take that momentum, and even though they come from two back-to-back defeats, I still believe that the momentum's still there, and I think this is going to be just the confirmation of that, and then obviously going into the playoffs, motivated to definitely make more history, and having another piece of silverware right there for the Orlando Pride.
Yeah, this team that we got to face on the end of the season in Seattle Reign. I mean, like Jordan Heitma, of course, being one of the key players for them. They got a few others in here. Tazara King, Ji So Young is a very good player, very technical player.
Yeah, Phoebe
Um,
McClernand,
yeah, of course, like
former
surprised, like
Pride.
Sullivan Quinn. Is it Sullivan Quinn? I can't remember her first name. In the D mid is a very good player. Like they've got talent. It's not we can't write everybody off, We're not going to do that. We don't want to be overly confident, but this is a good team to be able to reset at home. We had to go away playing Portland. We had to go away, right with the hurricane and everything happening, like the come down from winning the Shield. Then we had to go to Gotham and play like all the stars in Gotham, another away trip. Like that was a lot to do right after winning the Shield. We've had 2 weeks off, international break. Now this is the opportunity to get back to the Orlando Pride that we've known this year, and hopefully that's what we're going to see, right, Luis? I mean, I'm thinking it should be like a 2 or 3-0, hopefully, this game on Saturday, and that's what we want to see, so that we are like getting that confidence back up and getting ready go into the playoffs with that momentum, with that drive.
Yeah, definitely. And I believe that the Pride is coming. Obviously they had the media day, and they pretty much said, there's more history to be made. They're still kind of, they haven't even had time to celebrate, the Shield. But there's a lot of good things that are happening. They're getting a well-deserved rest for sure. But you got now the Pride not only in the name of Orlando Pride, the organization Orlando Pride is being viewed very positively, worldwide, which has never been done before. After before Haley and Sepp came in, I mean, nobody heard about Orlando Pride, honestly. And now you're seeing, the Tri-City Herald interviewing, Summer Yates, which did a really cool piece on her. You have, Marta kind of, we'll discuss it a little bit when we talk about the Ballon d'Or. Marta kind of, saying that she was disappointed how Vinny Jr. wasn't part of it, and giving her peace of mind. And then you have, Barbara Banda, 12, you know, Shield winner, Ballon d'Or, nominated, her first nomination. So there's a lot of positive. Then Emily Sams, starting, for U.S. women's national team. So it's a lot of positives that they're going to have to take. And yeah, it's going to be a tough team for sure. I mean, they have really good players, but I mean, if you look at the names, I feel like we have a line by line, offense, defense, mid. I feel like we have a better squad overall. So, and they're going to come out swinging. A lot of pundits started, saying, "Oh, what's going on with the Pride," and no player wants to hear that, and I feel like they're gonna definitely prove why they made it and why they were Supporter Shield winners.
Yeah, quickly on the Reign. Obviously, they lost their last game. They're not in great form.
Yeah.
So I do want to move now on to Luis talking about those thoughts that we heard from Haley on Media Day. I got them lined up here for us. So um, I think there's a few clips here that were really good of what she talked about. This one talking about playing for the club and playing for the badge.
We talk about culture, and I know it's this buzzword and a lot of people throw it around. You're not really sure what it means, but if you talk to our athletes and you ask our athletes, what is our culture? And you talk to the staff, you ask them, what is our culture? It's clear when you're in it what it is. And it is very much about putting the club first. You play for the badge. You're proud to play for the badge. I think in the past in Orlando, the thought of playing for the badge was kind of the second priority, and right now that is the top priority, is playing for this club and playing for each other. We talk about culture.
I mean, that for me at least was a great quote. I think that Haley defined there the difference between this Pride team for me and the original, like the last time we were in the playoffs, 2017. As we talked about before, there's a bunch of players that I don't really think played for the badge, didn't play for the club. They kind of played for themselves and their own international careers. And so I think that's the biggest difference here. And that's what they've instilled in this team. It's about doing everything for the good of the team, for the good of the badge, not about, oh, I must be the individual to do this or that. And that's difficult with soccer players and their egos. And I just think this was a really good definition here by Haley. Your thoughts on this and what else you said at Media Day?
Well, first, I think it's fantastic, and I commend the Wolf family. I commend the Pride and City for doing this jointly. I think that this was I think to me that was something that it kind of says we are one organization, one big club, which you see a lot in like England, for example, Chelsea women and Chelsea FC, it's pretty much the same. And what I love was the camaraderie that both had with each other. That's number one, that I've never seen before. I've covered the team for a long time, so I've never seen that in the past. City praising Pride, and Pride being very respectful to City, and it was just very cool. And I think Haley's comments were spot on. I mean, I think what was being said in the media after those two defeats was just crazy to me. But then again, I like the fact that she stepped up and pretty much spoke for the players, because players sometimes, they don't want to go and interact and speak up, but that could definitely affect them. Now, when it comes to
And they shouldn't either, Louis. Let's say that. Like, they should not
yeah,
get in, don't. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
bad downward
yeah.
spiral that you get
You gotta, the
involved.
same way that Haley doesn't, and the
Right.
Sab, like, you gotta stay out of the social.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then when she talked about playing for the badge, I think it applies to both teams. Both teams have gone through that, and I think that now there's one common culture. The Pride has changed their culture tremendously. I remember players and even fans just going to see the Pride because of that one TikTok video of that player, or because that player was going to make an Instagram reel about herself. Like it was just very once. It was just really no putting the club out and promoting the club individually as a collective. And now that we see that the collective effort is making wonderful things like a historic season, playing as a unit, playing as a collective unit, being a team that it's dangerous defensively, dangerous offensively, bringing the right pieces, youth. That's the most important part, youth. Um, it's phenomenal, and I think she needed to say it, and I'm glad that she said it in front of like all these big outlets, because it just says that that's our culture and that's the way things are going to be handled moving forward. And it's honestly like it makes the club look like a very serious organization, that it's here not to kid around. Like they're, like, yeah, this is a historic season, but we're not going to be the ugly duckling no more. Like we are here to now be a contender every single year. And I love that. I thought that was fantastic.
Luis is talking about all of the clips that we have from the Pride Media Day, which was the pre-playoff media day. What did happen, Wednesday or Thursday? I forget. One day
It was Thursday
Thursday
of
last
last
week.
week. Yes.
So go onto our YouTube, check that out if you
It's on
haven't
there.
seen it. Really great interview with both Seb and Haley. We're gonna play you a little bit here. Thanks to Alonzo, actually, who clipped this one up. But this is like Luis was saying, this is Haley talking about the fan reaction and the players maybe needing a little bit of grace.
I want to add one thing, and I think it's important because I think Seb is gracious and incredibly humble. But there's a couple things, and this has come up a couple questions here, and things that I've been asked by other members of the media around. We win the Shield 23 games in, and we lose the next 2 games. I want to make it abundantly clear as the leader of this organization that our athletes are human beings and our staff are human beings. And it is a natural reaction when you have worked as hard and as tirelessly as our athletes and staff did to win the Shield in 23 games. And that achievement is unheard of. It is exceptional. That is an NWSL record for undefeated games. And so, of course, we come out of the game winning the Shield. If you guys didn't know, we left the very next day on a plane to head to Portland. And to Seb's point, that we're not making excuses, but I don't think there's anybody in this room who's ever achieved a goal that they have worked incredibly hard for and not immediately gone, I did it. So, I think everybody in our environment deserves a little bit of grace. I think the staff deserves a little bit of grace. I think the athletes deserve a little bit of grace. And that's not to say that we won't be prepared, and that's not to say that momentum doesn't matter going into the playoffs. But I just want to remind everyone of just how extraordinary the achievements of this team and this season have been, regardless of what the last two results have been. I just want to remind everybody of that. As we move forward, we're going to reset. For me personally, I think the international window comes at a really good time. It gives us the opportunity to take that moment, enjoy the fact that we won the Shield. I haven't even thought about the fact, I've been asked about it, I haven't even thought about the fact that we won the Shield.
Haley's not even had a chance to take it all in. They've just been, it was like work, 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 Luis. They didn't even get a chance to enjoy it.
Yeah, no one should doubt the turnaround that this organization has had. And I believe, like, even doubters of this team ended up talking about the team, which is the most hilarious thing I've ever seen this year. People that were always, saying, "Oh, we'll never go to see women's soccer," like they were there, like with a pride sign. You know what I mean? That's something that the club needs to be proud of, that their performance, the level of soccer, is delivering not only results to put in heads in or butts in seats, but also making soccer very exciting within Central Florida. Now, yes, I feel like, and you see it a lot with City as well. It's like, they go into this winning streaks, and then they lose one game, and then they're ready to throw everything away. It's like we have these passive aggressiveness sometimes within some of the fan base. And I understand that it is all part of a process. The thing with the pride is, like, they made such radical changes, with Seb being the head coach, Haley coming in, Haley having these scouting all these young players, and then literally they clicked right away, and they all were gung-ho to win something right away, and then they made it happen this season. And it was kind of a good and unexpected feeling. And now that they made history, because they have, I mean, the putting there's kind of putting down their performance because of two games just seems a little weird. And I noticed that as well on social media. And social media is there sometimes is a very great thing, and sometimes a very toxic thing. And I'm just glad that Haley's able to step up for the players, because some of these players are really young, man. They're in their 20s, and you don't know how negativity or how the spotlight could affect you mentally. And when you're going to play a playoff against very tough teams that all want to defeat you, you don't want to go with your mindset saying, "Oh man, I just messed up this past two games." You know what I mean? So I'm glad that Kaylee spoke up and just kind of put a cold, you just kind of put she just kind of put out the fire right there and then, so we can kind of digest it and move on and learn from these two defeats, and then hopefully take over the league and win a championship. And I think she spoke on the right time, and I thought her words were what I was thinking. Honestly, I think when I heard
Yeah.
that, I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
I was
it's the kind
proud.
of thing you want to hear your GM saying at this point
Sure,
in the season with
110%,
that happening. So
110%.
I think we're all excited to have a bounce back against Seattle, and it's, like we said, a great opportunity to do that. Before we go, there's a couple more things that we want to talk about. First of all, Emily Sams finally, Luis, finally got on the field for USA. She played on Sunday against Iceland in a friendly where they won 3-1. I think people were very impressed. I was impressed from what I saw with her. She looked like she does with the pride. Very, confident on the ball, bringing it up with the line, Luis, trying to pick out the passes. She just looked like the Emily we know and what we thought she could be for the U.S. women's national team. Pictured here with Emma Sears, who also got a debut and had a really good game, getting a goal and assist. I think she may have got 2 assists, actually, but 2 new debutantes for the U.S. women's national team. Couldn't be more proud that Emily is out there doing it for us, Luis. I think obviously we've had players before who
Right.
she who must not be named, and others who have played for the women's national team.
What's your favorite?
Uh,
What's your favorite?
I'll say Ashton Harris is probably my favorite
Yeah,
player to
yeah,
play for
Ashley
the
Harris was
women's national team,
one of the
who
best
also
keepers I've
played for the
seen.
Pride. But we've never had somebody who has earned their way onto the U.S. women's national team because of their form playing for Orlando. It's always been the other way. It's been like they're a U.S. national team star, and then they also play for the Pride, but they were already played for the national team, right? Emily has actually used the club as a base in order to be able to showcase her talent so much that she's got on the team. And I think that's awesome. I think it just shows the direction that we're going in as a club. And I think this is the first of hopefully more Pride players, like, maybe Carrie Abello, maybe, there's a few others coming up the pipeline that we could look at that potentially could get call ups in the future.
Haley McCutcheon, I believe
Yeah, I mean, there's
she's a
players like
she's a
that
phenomenal midfielder.
you were having a real resurgence. There's players that should get a second look, and I think it's awesome. But Luis, what are your thoughts on Emily getting the call up? Well, the
Well,
start finally.
well, I mean, she's a phenomenal player, phenomenal human being as well. Her collegiate career was also, you know, amazing. She departed in 2022, Florida State. You know, already already very early. You know, she's played abroad. I think she played in Sweden as well. So I mean, she's been around. And to me, she's been one of the you know key players for this historic Pride team that got the shield. We already saw her how she adapted to multiple positions at the end of last season in the NWSL. How she could adapt as a center back, as a right back. She scored actually a couple of goals this season as well, and the beginning of the season with the Pride as a right back. So I mean, just her versatility makes her very dangerous. But I just want to highlight her work ethic. The work ethic she's had since she was in the collegiate level, it kind of puts the cherry on the cake on a very well deserved start for the national team, and hopefully, and also the coach. She's known to she's known to for not to tremble to put new players on. She's known for prioritizing momentum, and putting the right players at the right time in the right places. So I feel like this is perfect for her, and hopefully we can see her more in the national team. And yeah, Orlando right now has, in my opinion, a phenomenal youth core. I mean, Summer Yates, you got Carey, you got Corey Dyke, you have, Julie Doyle. I mean, you have all these players that Haley McCutcheon has already said, that, I'm forgetting the under 20 youth player.
Well, Ali Limos, yeah,
Ali Limos. There you
already
go.
in the
I'm
U20s.
telling you, like,
Yeah,
these are players that are going to be in the national team at some point, and I think the national team has the right coach right now, in my opinion. That is going to definitely, we're going to start seeing a change of a generational change, as they say, and I think Emily's part of that generational change, and I'm glad to see that for the national team, and well deserved for Emily.
and that generational change, of course, being led by new coach Emma Hayes, who
Emma
just
Hayes.
won the women's Ballon female coach Ballon d'Or,
Amazing.
which nicely segues us
Well deserved.
onto Barbara Banda, who also came 12th in the 2024 Ballon d'Or final rankings. As you can see on screen, there were 6 teams from NWSL. Sorry, 6 players from NWSL. 4th was Sophia Smith. 6th, Mallory Swanson. 9th, Trinity Rodman. Barbara in 12th. Alyssa Nair in 17th. And Tarsiane in 23rd. None of them cracking the top 3. They were all Barca players, and the winner was Bonmati, unsurprisingly. Probably the right decision there, I'd say, Luis. An
Yeah,
extremely
yeah,
good
Bomba T.
player,
Yeah,
an extremely good player.
very crafty.
Yeah, for sure. So Barbara with 12th, I think, were we hopeful she was going to win it? I'm not going to say, no. It's difficult to say how the Ballon d'Or, sometimes there's like on the men's side, there's a lot of questionable things. It was won by Rodri, for example. So I don't take too much stock in her ranking here. I think the most important thing is that she's among the best players in the world. And I think she's got a long future ahead of her to be on this list and work her way up that list if she continues the way she's doing, right?
Yeah, I just think that the Ballon d'Or. Look, I feel not so. I feel like it's not a fair assessment overall for men and women. Number
It
one,
seems
if
a bit
you,
more like a popularity contest
yeah,
sometimes than an
if
actual,
if you
assessment of the player's abilities.
put Pride against Kansas City, against Barcelona right now, I can bet you $20 that Orlando Pride will beat Barcelona. You know, put the way Portland play Orlando in that 3-0, you will see Portland tie against Barcelona. So I just think sometimes it's just more of a popularity contest than, than just merit. I don't hate to say merit, but I just like momentum. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, if you look at it this way, they've put, the gold medal Olympic winners, none
right,
of them are in the top 3. Like, for me,
correct.
I think Trinity Rodman should be in the top 3.
I
Like,
agree,
I believe
110%,
she like, a 9th,
110%.
I think, is atrocious. I think that is atrocious.
Mhm.
I think Sophia Smith has injuries, like,
Right.
yeah, it's debatable. I think for Barbara, we're just, she also won. Remember, she won the BBC African Women's Footballer of the Year. So she's winning awards here and there. Like we're celebrating her, of course. I think with this one, it would be a stretch to say she should be up there, but I think she's only going to get better and going to continue to impress. So hoping in the future that maybe we will have a Pride Ballon d'Or player. I mean, we've had Marta. Obviously, she's won the Ballon d'Or. But I don't think we've ever had a player that's won it while playing at the club. So that could be amazing in the future. But
So
that was the final piece of news from today's episode.
wasn't Barcelona eliminated? I mean, wasn't Spain eliminated in the Olympics?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean they're not. It's
right.
clearly like they've taken the club part way more into, and
So
Barbara is, her achievements for Zambia in the last year are incredible. So like
so I
she
just
scored like
feel
hat tricks.
right. So I just feel like they don't like the NWSL is being a little shafted here.
I
Is
think I think there's a certain amount of FIFA bias against the
right.
American League, even though I would say that definitely NWSL is better than La
Yeah, for
Liga
sure.
Femenil. Like I
Like
mean, 100%.
right. Like I'm not expecting. I'm not talking about the men. I'm talking about the women. In women, U.S. is 4 times world champs. So 4 times world champs, and that needs to go. And again, that needs for the U.S. Federation and also the NWSL to kind of say, guys, like, what's going on, right? So, I just kind of question that a little bit, but good for Aitana Bonmati. Hopefully, second Ballon d'Or, winner, and yeah, I mean Barbara. I just don't like the fact that you know to me this says, and hopefully I'm incorrect, but you're just kind of telling the NWSL players, hey, you want to get to number one, you want to go to Europe, you know. And to me, that's not right. To me, I feel like Barbara, if she would have kept scoring until the last
I would
game,
also say that like the Barca players have it easier because their league
yeah,
is not as strong across the board, so they're playing
of
like weaker
course,
opposition and like the Champions League is like the real time to see these European teams against each other. Like even the women's, But anyway, we should wrap up, Luis.
yeah,
We need to
definitely.
go. But thank you everybody for being here. Appreciate you guys listening in. Luis, can you give us the socials before we head out?
Sure. I want to thank everyone that listen and watch. Make sure you check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. As Loud and Proud Orlando, we're on X, NLP_podcast, on Instagram as well, on Facebook, and on YouTube as Loud and Proud Orlando. Yeah, and we'll see you guys hopefully next week with a win pod, hopefully against Seattle Reign, and then going onwards to the playoffs.
Yes, apologies for the short episode this week, but Luis is sick and we got a lot going on, both of us. So we
Yeah.
want to just get a quick episode of Pride out for everybody. And we will be back next week with a full episode to review the Seattle game and talk all about the playoffs. But
Well,
until then, Vamos Pride.
vamos, Pride, guys. Have a wonderful day.